Man United Spurs, it's been a couple of days. I've left it, I've left it to, I guess, bubble up a little bit. The tension on Ten Hag still hasn't gone. The praise for Spurs still hasn't gone. It still feels very much like that game happened yesterday, even though it's Wednesday. So this was 3 years ago. No, this was 3 days ago. The first thing I'm going to start with is the fact that Man United lost, and still in 2024, there's this massive outrage about Man United losing, as if it's like a surprise. Now, did I think United would beat Spurs? Yes, but that's not because United are good. That's because Spurs are bad. I just find it hilarious that there's this big outrage still when United lose, when this has been happening for 11 years. Let me take you to my life, right? 2002, I was born. That means I saw the first 11 years of my life, Man United were good. Title winning team, title challenging. But I can't even remember the first, 7? I think 2010 is when I can really start remembering things about football. With match tax, connect to match tax, things like that just help the memory. That means if we just go from 2010, when I can actually really start remembering football. So in the last 14 years, Man United have been good for 3 of them. And they've won a few trophies, they've had their moments, they have money, they have good players still. Even now there's some good players in there. Not many, but there's a few. So they'll always have moments, which they have had. Bear in mind, they did also go 6 years without a trophy as well. But to me, this is just so unsurprising anymore that Man United get battered 3-0 by Spurs, especially when last year, they were terrible. The year before that, terrible. Or maybe, no, the first year of Ten Hag is one of the only good years of football Man United have had in the past 11 years. That's it. They've been rubbish for the entire time. So I love the outrage. I just find it funny that still in 2024 it's a big deal that Man United get thrashed. It's just so unsurprising to me. Okay, it's all good saying they're bad. Why were they so bad against Tottenham Hotspur? What did we all watch and think, wow, that was disastrous? I think the main point for me was the laziness. And one thing, I'm going to hit out at the Man United fans here a little bit, right? Because it's a compliment, but it's not. They are very loyal fans, Man United. They might be the most loyal fan base in the Premier League, which is something you don't expect, actually, considering their success. You think of how, bipolar, maybe a Chelsea fan or an Arsenal fan, or even a Spurs fan like myself can be. Man United don't really tend to be like that. It's time to stop defending Rashford, right? I've seen people say, what do you want Rashford to do for that Mickey van der Ven challenge? You want him to do anything other than what he actually did, right? First, he could have slowed down. He could have recognised that the ball wasn't going to be there. So he could have just took his foot off the gas a little bit, become a little bit more defensive, made Mickey van der Ven turn back past Romero. That's for a start. He could have made a challenge. He could have got there just to jog past Mickey van der Ven. Bear in mind, he has to know by doing that he's leaving a gap by doing that. This is the type of stuff Rashford does. And he also did something else in the game where he randomly just pelted the ball away for no reason, kind of in like a strop. You're playing for Man United. You can't do this kind of stuff so consistently. Bruno, now, the slip, fine. You can say it's not a red card. But let's be real. It's just the thing Bruno would do, right? He's going to miss the ball, so what does he do? He sticks a leg out. He's petulant, Bruno Fernandes. He's childish. He's not a captain material player. So you can say it's not a red card, but that's so unsurprising to me that Bruno would do something like that. Okay, on to, well, the pressing. There was no trigger, was there? I was watching it with my dad. We was just saying, when are they actually going to press us? And they did it every now and then. And there was a moment when Bruno did it and it was a disaster. Instead of running towards the ball, the ball was in like the right back area. I think Romero might have had the ball. And Bruno, instead of like going towards him, he did a circle around, just leaving this massive gap then from where he's left, just for Romero to walk into and pass into. It was just so unintelligent. It's as if they came in there with no plan, there was no energy, and the worst part about that game was Dalot. And Bruno, actually, for that goal, everyone's saying Mazraoui delit. Bruno has to do better, or Mickey van de Ven as well. He runs through. Dalot, like, even as a Spurs fan, Dalot annoyed me so much with his attitude there. And this is a player, by the way, that gets so many plaudits from Man United fans. Brennan Johnson runs in. It's alright getting outpaced, but he didn't really get outpaced. He could have easily got there. And do you know what annoyed me the most? Is when the goal went in and Dalot said sorry. Put his hands up and said sorry. If you know that's your fault, why... Like, you know you've done something wrong. Why in the moment did you not get there? That's a big problem. That's a massive problem for Man United, for Ten Hag. It's a rotten core of players. It's a rotten bunch. It's a poor manager, I think, because the tactics are not changing. Now, onto the winning team, which you wouldn't think they've been the winning team with how people have been speaking about them. I actually don't blame people for not speaking about Spurs though, because I do think this was more of a case of Man United being bad. But there's things to really be happy about in the Spurs performance. For me, the number one is we all have this moment in our clubs. If you're not a Spurs fan watching this, you probably had it in your club where the manager finds something, right? And even though, do you know what's very likely? The fans actually know it first, I think, because they've been watching these same players for years. They've seen them in different areas of the pitch. And I think many Spurs fans could have told you ages ago, Kulusevski is a 10. He's a midfielder, not a right winger. And to see that Ange has now, he's done it. You know, he's got the Bentancur, Maddison, Kulusevski midfield. And boy, did it work. It was magical. It was beautiful. Maddison was fantastic. Bentancur was out of this world. This is a player that every Spurs fan's been saying is so good, but there's just been things out of his control and also things that was so poor from him. I mean, he will get a 10-game ban at some point, I think. So that will mess up the midfield again. But for this game and in the future, that looked positive, really, really positive for Spurs. And it's not really a surprise, to be honest. I think we all think Kulusevski is a wonderful footballer. In his first year under Conte, the guy was stunning in his performances. And to see him kind of bringing that back a few years later in a different role, a role we all thought he would succeed in, is just nice to see. And it almost just feels like this was the game for Kulusevski, where... Because I actually made a video a few weeks ago saying that I don't think his future's at Tottenham, but if that can continue, that form, that could be the midfield three for Ange for the next couple of years, who knows. There were, of course, positives as well in Brennan Johnson scoring his fourth goal in 4 games. The Van de Ven run, again, this is kind of things that I think Spurs fans knew. Van de Ven's stock after that run will immensely increase. Spurs fans know that this guy is unbelievable. It just takes a game like this at Old Trafford to prove it, I guess. Werner, oh God. You know what, it's a shame because he is a good player. He really is a good left winger. He has a lot of positives to his game. The fact he gets those chances is very good, right? How many wingers do you know that can get that many chances in a game, show that much pace, good movement, running in behind, good footwork, 1-2s? You know, he's really good at that part of the game. It's the, oh my God, it's the last part. I don't get how you can be a Prem footballer and not finish one-on-ones. When Timo Werner is in on goal, I do not move a muscle. Genuinely, I do not move. I am watching the game as if were passing it around the back, as if Vicario's got the ball. That's how I'm watching. In reality, Timo Werner could make it, he's in one-on-one, and he could make it 2-0 Tottenham at Old Trafford. But I don't think he's going to do that, and he never does it. So, yeah, that's frustrating. But he did play well. You know, he played well, but that end product is shocking. And Solanke, look, I like Solanke. I think he's a good player. The fact we spent 65 million though is still concerning to me. I just don't think he's the top level. You know, I think maybe a top 5, 6, top 4 team. But there's something about the way he plays. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being negative, but he just doesn't fill me with confidence like an Ivan Toney would. There was even a chance, you know, when we were 1-0 up. I think we won the ball, and Maddison gives it to Solanke to capitalise, and he kind of really didn't do anything, similar to what he did in the Leicester game, where he had a similar really good chance early on, and that can't keep happening. He has to do better in those scenarios for me, but he did score. The one thing I'd say is, like, the guy is such a poacher. He's so quick on the end of loose balls in the box. So that's impressive, and that's good. Well, the last point I have is just another positive for Tottenham. The starting 11 was great. They performed really well. That would be your ideal starting 11 with Son, of course, on the left wing. But that bench from Tottenham as well was really promising. You had Mike Emo, who came on. You had Pap Sarr, who's 21, 22 years old. You had Lucas Bergvall, who's a great talent. Archie Gray, a great talent. And I believe Will Lancashire was on the bench as well. So that's 5 really good young talents that Tottenham had on the bench. And I just saw that as a real positive, even before the game. So yeah, ultimately, I think this was an important game, a very important moment in Premier League history. Kind of similar to when they beat us 3-0 at home. Then we went and got Conte. That was Nuno's last game. This feels similar. It might not be the game they sacked Ten Hag. In fact, it won't be. But what it does is this is the game that puts pressure on the next 2 for him. So yeah, big game. A game I came away very happy with, and hopefully this form for Spurs can continue. But to be honest, I'm not sure.